Welcome to Polygon's overview series. I'm Charlie Hall. Today with me is Ben Kuchera. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm really awesome because I've been spending the last 2 weeks with Star Citizen, the early access game from Chris Roberts and company over at Cloud Imperium Games, and this game is going to be really special, Ben.
So this is the $280 million crowdfunded game I've been hearing so much about in the media.
This is, to my knowledge, the biggest crowdfunding success anywhere ever. And they are over $70 million in crowdfunding right now. And they're planning for a commercial release in 2016. What we're looking at right now is called the Arena Commander module. And right now you can get this online for $45. We'll let you into the Arena Commander dogfighting module. But the ship that I'm flying is actually a standalone add-on ship. Ben, what do you think this ship cost me?
I've played a lot of MechWarrior online, and I think back in the day, those mechs were like, I don't know, between like $8 and $30, I think. So I'm gonna say $15 is what you spent on this.
Ben, we're flying in a $110 spaceship right now.
Oh, jeez. What happens? What happens when it explodes?
Well,
Is that it?
you can get insurance, Ben.
Oh my God. Are you insured? Are we flying uninsured right now? Can you let me off at the next stop?
The insurance is going to be necessary once the open world game starts. But right now, this is essentially a drone simulator. I'm flying around with the plane that I, quote unquote, own inside a simulator, so the stakes are very low.
Okay.
Also
But
flying.
in the full version, just like games with EVE Online, you can lose your ship. Is that a thing?
To my knowledge, yeah, you can get blown away. And this thing, while it's a fairly potent assault ship and starfighter, it's fairly fragile. You smash it into an asteroid, it's time to make a claim.
This is, I mean, I'm watching you play this right now. I feel like I can see where a lot of that money went. This is a beautiful game.
It really does have so much polish, even in this very early state. What is really fascinating to me is the points of articulation, right? So if you look at this carefully, you've got the heads-up display. That's being projected inside of my helmet. I have a track IR on, so as I move my head, I'm actually moving my head inside my character's helmet. But then, as I'm making all these high G-force maneuvers in space, my character's like rocking back and forth inside the cockpit as well. So there's just so much moving, even though we're just inside a spaceship.
Huh. So when I see the view change, that is actually your head moving using the track IR to match everything.
Correct. And now even when I'm outside of the ship, I'm using my track IR to kind of move my view around.
Holy gosh. Yeah, so this isn't a small indie game we're talking about right now. They are using every dollar of that money for these character models. It's gorgeous.
It really is well done so far, but there's so much more to come, right? So here's the dogfighting module. There's also going to be a single-player campaign called Squadron 42. There's also going to be a living universe, an open world, and then there's going to be a first-person shooter, Ben.
Of course there is.
Of course there is. So the dogfighting, though, is really very satisfying. As you know, I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous, and I gotta say that the dogfighting in Star Citizen blows Elite Dangerous's dogfighting right out of the water. It is so thrilling. And the reason for that is all of the effects that you're seeing. So that was a couple of splashes against my ship's shields. And then you're going to see me making a couple of shots against the enemy shields, and their shields glow red. But now look at the environment that we're fighting in as well. This is a little star station, and I'm just trying to hide in the superstructure of the star port, and I'm doing a hard turn, skidding through space, and now I'm hitting the boost, and we're going back into the fight.
So it's amazing when you see the external of your ship here, you can actually see all the different thrusters moving in different directions as you're doing these maneuvers. Like all of this is existing in universe, and like how realistic is the physics here?
I've been really impressed with the physics. When you go to that outside the cockpit view, like you said, you can see there's 4 thrusters on top, there's 2 thrusters on the bottom. Those are like retro thrusters, and those change your attitude in flight. as well as help you kind of strafe left and right and up and down. And you can strafe while you're doing straight line flight or when you're landing or doing maneuvers like that. And then he got this big old vectored thrust engine in the back that looks like an F-22 Raptor. And all of it is animated.
That's amazing.
So the hat switch there on the right-hand stick. Oop, I just...
Oh, gosh.
Oh, this is cool. I collided with that Vandal ship, so my pilot got knocked out. He puts his little head down, and his vision goes blurry, and the ship's dead until he gets his wits back.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What I was saying is I'm using a Scitech X55, and the hat switch on the right stick is actually going to let me use those attitude adjusting thrusters. I don't do it too much, but we're gonna do a landing sequence here in just a little bit where I'm going to rely on that attitude adjustment just a little bit. What's really interesting though is that this ship, which is called the F-7C Hornet, has actually got gimbaled lasers, and so I'm pointing my nose in the direction of the enemy and pointing the gimbaled lasers in a different direction than the direction I'm flying in. So I'm looking one way while I fly the other and shooting guns that are pointing in one direction while I'm flying in another. It was just, I came to that realization mid-dogfight that I could do that, and it was awesome.
So how long did it take you to get this proficient at flying? How much practice before you could pull off these maneuvers?
Well, again, I played a lot of Elite, and Elite's thing, right in the early game, the thing that they make you practice so much is landing, and essentially you're putting your ship right through the mail slot of a starbase, and that's very challenging flying. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth. But honestly, it took me about 2 or 3 days to get the controls set up. I actually had to call into Star Citizen tech support and get their help with my X55 to get it all doing what I needed it to do. And then additionally, out of the box, Star Citizen does this weird thing where they put roll on the twist axis. So it's not at all like flying like a fighter plane in World War II, which I'm very familiar with. So I had to adjust some things. But once I did that, honestly, it was so easy. This next maneuver here, I'm gonna hit the thrust full speed, and I'm just gonna skitch right through the solar panel on this starbase, and it's really easy. I can do what I need to do with my ship after about 3 days of practice.
There you go.
And so this is actually very difficult to find part of the Arena Commander right now. This is a little landing platform. And having done so much landing work in Elite, I wanted to try my hand at landing in Star Citizen. So I found this little platform, and here's where that hat switch comes in. I'm gently kind of nudging it forward with the left throttle, changing my view with the button on the throttle, and then I'm going to come to a stop and use that hat switch on the right stick to push myself gently down into the landing pad. There's a couple of modes of flight that I'm not familiar with. One of them is called decoupled versus coupled flight, and I think that by using decoupled flight, the thrusters are a little less violent when you're trying to land, so I got to work on that. But I pretty much press the ship into the landing platform and hit F, and that kills the engines. But wait till you see what happens next here, Ben.
You can get out. Oh my gosh.
So you can get out and you can walk around, and this is where the FPS is going to start. In the eventual game, as I understand it, you're going to be able to land your starship, get out, and go fight an FPS level, and then get back in and fly off with your buddies.
Is this using a custom engine? What is this running on?
This is actually running on CryEngine. So they're using the same stuff that
okay,
Crisis was done.
Are you using a jetpack now?
I am using a jetpack. And this actually was a lot harder to learn to use than flying the fighter plane was. Because if you move too fast back towards that platform, you telescope your spine and it's all over. So I'm going to very gingerly reposition myself back on top of the platform there. But it's, again, this is my head moving inside my helmet. And I'm looking down over the surface of this planet that's being terraformed with these giant lasers, and they're vibrating and buzzing in my ears. It's really overwhelming, and really gave me a decent sense of vertigo with the implementation of that track IR the way it was.
Huh. And this is still within the dogfighting module?
This is, again, just that sim module. This is a free flight. There's no
Oh, okay.
enemies. There's no allies. It's just me and this landing platform above the surface of this planet. This is kind of where I learned to fly, just trying not to bump into too much and seeing how fast I could go. But again, that plane isn't supposed to land like that. It's not supposed to be leaning on its haunches. So also, it's a two-seater, and it's very difficult to get in the front seat every time. A lot of the time I'll end up in the back seat, and there's no way to move between the two. So they're working on it. But, pretty much that's it. I think my next step is going to be to give a try with some other ships out there. But soon, Ben, they're going to allow multiplayer ships. So
Oh, that'll be amazing.
You want to join me?
Oh, I'm in. I'm in.
All right, we'll see what we can do to get you set up with a key or something, and yeah, hopefully in the next month or two you can fly in my back seat.
That'll be awesome.